Students, good morning. Today we will be looking at one of the two universal methods of constructing a polygon. Now, what do I mean by universal? Universal means that regardless of the number of sides that determine the polygon, whether it's a three-sided polygon, which is a triangle, or a four-sided polygon, which is a quadrilateral, or even a nine-sided polygon, which is a nonagon, regardless of the number of sides, if we use this method all the time, we'll always get the correct number of sides. So there are two ways that we go about getting the polygon using the two universal method. One is if the diameter or the radius is given for the polygon, or the other is if one of the sides are given. So for today's exercise, we will be looking at what happens if the radius or the diameter, which is parts of a circle, if that's given, what we must do in order to construct the polygon. So this exercise here, we will be completing how to construct a quadrilateral and a pentagon using this universal method. So the first thing that needs to be established is what is the radius, or if the diameter is given, we just divide the diameter in half. So just like before, let's use a radius of 5 centimeters, and that is what we're going to use to get out our quadrilateral, and then we'll use a similar step to construct a pentagon, which is a 5-sided polygon. So first step, as usual, is to open our compass to 5 centimeters. Make sure that you are exact as possible. So we have that, just double checking, make sure I squeezed enough, yes. And that is my polygon, that is my radius. So now I'm going to place my compass point somewhere on my paper, and I'm going to draw as lightly as I can, because at the end of the day, we don't want too many dark lines. The only thing that needs to be shown up is the actual polygon, not the circles and other lines that we use to construct them. So I'm going to draw a circle. And just so that it can show up on the camera, I'm going to draw it a bit darker. Good. The next step is to take your ruler, and you're going to draw a horizontal line that will pass, let me just circle that will pass through the center of the circle, and I will cut the circle on both sides of the circumference. So you're going to take a ruler, you're going to place it right to the center, making sure that we're accurate as possible, making sure that this is as straight as possible. And we're going to draw a horizontal line. Let me just make that line a bit darker just so that it can show up. But when you are drawing this on your paper, you'll make this as light as possible where you can see it, but it's not going to be so dark. There we go. Remove some of these eraser. The next step is to divide this line, this diameter, into the number of parts that we need to construct the polygon. So in this example, we need to construct a 4-sided polygon. So what we're going to do, we are going to divide this point, which we will call A, and this point, which we will call B. We need to divide this distance into 4 equal parts, and that is because we are constructing a quadrilateral, a 4-sided polygon. To do that, this is going to be the skill that you'll need is your ability to divide lines in equal parts. Now, I'm sure you can remember that from your previous class, but I'm just going to go as slowly as I can to remind you of what needs to be done. So what you're going to do, you're going to use a support line. We call this support line. And you're going to place your ruler that you will use to draw your support line at A. And you're going to draw another line right at A in an angle of your own choosing. It doesn't matter what the length is. It doesn't matter what the angle is. Once you've drawn it in any angle, that is what we want at the moment. I'm going to draw this a bit darker because, as I said before, I just want this to show up on the camera. But again, your lines should be lighter than this, what we have here right now. So this support line is, in its name, it's a support line that will allow us to make equal divisions. So given that we need to divide AB into 4 equal parts, we will mark off 4 equal divisions on this line. Now we can either use a ruler and just mark off 4 equal divisions, as in 1 centimeter. That's 1 equal division, 2, 3, 4 equal divisions. Or we can use something a bit more accurate, and we can get our compass and just open our compass to any distance we want. I think I'm going to work with this, make it a little smaller. As you can see, I'm not working with any specific distance in mind. And I'm going to take my compass point and I'm going to place it at A. And I'm going to mark or scribe an arc that will cut my support line. So that's 1 equal division made. Keeping the same distance without changing my compass, I'm going to place that point my compass point right at this new point drawn. And I am going to scribe another arc further down using the same distance, trying to be as accurate as possible. So I'm scribing another arc. Here's my other line there. Continuing on until we get to 4 points. So we need 2 more. So I'm going to place my compass point, scribe another arc. And then 1 more, place my compass point, and scribe 1 more arc until I have 4 points. So you have 0. I always start from 0. You have 1, 2, 3, 4 points. That will give us a quadrilateral, a 4-sided polygon. Now keep in mind that we are constructing a regular polygon, and a regular polygon is a polygon with equal sides. So it means that if we're going to be constructing a quadrilateral with 4 equal sides, we are creating a square. So just keep that in mind for your drawing at the end of what it's supposed to look like. Now, one way of testing to see if you make equal division is to, let me grab a paper, is to take a piece of paper, or you can use your divider. Let me use my divider in this case. So you have our divider so that we can get a bit of hang of using our tools. And you are going to open it to A1. And what you can do is just swing it over to 2. Swing it over to 2. You got it at A. Then place it at 2. Swing it over to 3 to see if it aligns with 3. It does. Swing it over to 4. And this is how we know we made equal divisions. So now that I made sure that I have made equal divisions, I am now going to, just want to make sure that it's not blurring. I am now going to connect 4 to B, and that is going to allow me to draw parallel lines all across here that will, you will see, divide this line into 4 equal parts. So like this. So take your ruler, place it at 4, place it at B. Make sure that you're exact as possible, you're accurate as possible, and you're going to draw the first line. Now this is your second support line, and this line will allow you to draw parallel lines and divide our AB into 4 equal parts. So how do we need to do that? Next thing we're going to do, you're going to take one of your set squares, whether you're working with a 30-60 or a 45. I feel comfortable working with a 30-60 because it's longer. So you're going to take that, and you're going to align this set square to your 4B line and making sure that we are exact as possible. Good. Then you're going to take another ruler and you're going to place it right under. You're going to place it right under your support ruler, as in this one on my left hand. And what we're going to do, let me bring this down a little bit more. Place it under our set square. We're going to slide over to 3, draw a line, slide over to 2, draw a line, slide over to 1, and we're going to draw a line. So like this. Take my set square, place my ruler under that set square, here we go. And now I'm going to slide this to 3. I'm going to draw a line. So I want to make sure that, there you go, draw a line, place it at 2, draw a line, place it at 1, draw a line. Good. And now we have our equal divisions. You can go back with your dividers and just double check that your line are equally divided. So I'm going to open these two, making sure that I'm on point. As I said before, where this one is, as you can see, it was drawn across and cut this horizontal. So this is our 1. Same thing here, our 2, our 3, and based on this, our 4. So if I open my compass to A1, my divider, sorry, and I turn it over, I want to make sure that I'm accurate. Turn it over, should land at 2. Turn it over, should land at 3. Turn it over, it should land at 4. So I know that my AB line is equally divided. So the next thing I'm going to do, I want to establish my second point. And your second point is what you need to look for when you're constructing any polygon. What do we mean by second point? So I'm just going to draw a tiny square here. So this is our regular 4-sided polygon. It's a square. And this is our regular 5-sided polygon, pentagon. Now, you'll always need to determine the size of the length of one side. So you'll need 2 points or the beginning or the end that establish the length of one. So let's say this is point 0. This is our first point. The second point, point 2, will give us the length. And we know that the square has equal sides. So this equal side here is going to be the same all around. So we're establishing our second point. Same thing here. If this is point 1, and if we find out point 2, we will know the length of this pentagon, and we can take this information and draw it and carry it easily around for the others. So what we're trying to do is to establish or find our second point. So how we're going to find our second point? We know that this is number 2. So this point here, number 2, is going to help us. But before we do that, we need to do one more thing, and that is to bisect our line. So to do that, we are going to take our compass and we're going to open our compass to AB, placing it at A, placing it at B, your compass point, opening it to A, and you're going to scribe an arc. Let me just turn my camera a bit so that you can see that. So you scribe an arc all the way down here. Just fix this so that you can see it fully. There we go. So you scribe this arc. Just going to make it a bit darker so that you can see. Now, using the same distance that you used to draw this arc at A, placing it at B, you're going to take that and you're going to place it compass point at A, open it to B, and you're going to draw another arc to intersect. I'm just going to try to draw this as dark as possible. There we go. So now we have a point of intersection. Let's call this C. Right? Let's call it point C. So with that, we are now ready to establish our second point. So what you're going to do, you're going to take your ruler, you're going to place it at C, and you're going to place your compass point at 2, wherever 2 is on the horizontal line. And you're going to draw a line that will cut your circle like this. This is 2, this is C. You just draw a line, and now it cuts at that point. So this part here is our second point that will establish our square in this case. So what we need to do now, let me just draw this line a bit darker so it can show up. There we go. And now you're going to take your ruler, and this is where you're going to start drawing a dark line. You're going to connect A. Let's call this point D. You're going to connect A to D with a dark straight line because we want the square to show up stronger than the construction, right? So we have D, we have A. So we draw that line. Now, with that distance here, this is our square there. Let me see if I can draw this a bit darker. Shows up strongly there, good. So with that, I'm going to place my compass point at DA. And luckily for this four-sided polygon, all of your points are already established, but you just want to double check. So I'm going to open it to A, scribe it on the other side, it lands back at B. If I take that same distance I placed at B, it should land back at this point, which it does. You just, oops, let me scribe that so you can see. Lands back at that point, and as well that lands back at A. So we know that we have 4 equal sides. We can now go ahead and draw our square. There we go. Making sure that I'm exact as possible. Go. One more. This one here. Good. And this is our 4-sided polygon, a square. Let me just take this tape off. Taking this tape off. So if I rotate this now, there is my lovely drawn square. So now that we know how to construct four-sided polygon using the universal method given our radius or diameter, let's try to use back the same method to construct a pentagon. So now that I place it back on the board, let me just find my... Good. So now that good. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to use the same radius. Now these radius do change, diameter do change. So be on the lookout for the different sizes of a circle. But just for simplicity's sake, we're going to keep the same radius of 5. And to do that, once more, you open your compass to 5 centimeter. You're going to draw your circle as usual. So I want to make sure that the circle is showing up. I'm just going to draw this a bit darker. Next step is to establish my center. Take your ruler. You're going to draw a horizontal line as straight as you can make it that passes through the center of the circle. Now that we have that, let me just draw this line darker. Let's establish our beginning. So that is A, that is B. Next, we can divide AB into, again, this is a pentagon, so we need 5 equal sides. So, using a support line, any angle, any length, I'm just going to draw this out. Taking my compass, open it to any distance. About that much should do it for me. That's fine. Placing it at A, I'm going to scribe, because it's a 5-sided polygon this time, I'm going to scribe 5 arcs. So let me just open about that. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points. That will give us a 5-sided polygon. So if you can recall, the next step is to connect the last point, 5, to B. I'm going to connect that to B, making sure that I'm as accurate. So I'm just marking off these small little lines to make sure that I'm on point. So I'm on point now. I'm going to draw this line. That's dark enough. Hope it's not too dark. Good. Taking my set square, I'm going to align it to my B5 line. I'm now going to take my support ruler. I'm going to place it under my set square. I can't locate my other set square. I just put it down somewhere and I cannot find it. So I just want to show you that it doesn't matter what set square you're using. It could be your 45 or your 3060. Once you have aligned it to your line, That's all that you need. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to place it under, and I'm going to slide it over to 4. I'm going to draw my parallel line. Then I'm going to slide it over to 3. Let me just, here we go. Slide it over to 3. And I could slide this over, but it's a bit too short. So I would just want to start again from here. Align my set square to my parallel lines. And this time I'm putting it at 3. And then continuing on as normal. Good. So now I have 1, 2, 3. As you can see, it matches back. 4 matches back, and 5. 5 divided parts. That divides my AB line. So if you can recall, the next step is to find where our second point is. We know that we have 2 here. We just need to now bisect this line using our compass. So this is what we're going to do next. Open your compass to B, just like before. Open it to A, placing the compass point at B, and you're going to scribe an arc at A. Same distance, do not change your compass. Place your compass point at A this time. Open it to B. Trying to get this exactly on point, but my compass point may be a bit dull. This happens, so I just need to sharpen it. So I'm just going to scribe an arc. Now let's call this C. Taking your ruler, C to our second point, 2, will give us, go. You have that line drawn. Now let's call that point D. We're going to open our compass to AD. And we're just going to scribe. So you have 1 point, 1 side established. Mark off side, next side, taking the same distance, marking it off over here. Scribe. So right now we have 1, 2, 3 sides. Now you just have to do 1 more, and that will give us our 5-sided polygon. Just there. So with that, we're ready to draw our, oops, I keep hitting this camera. We're ready to draw our pentagon. So if you look at that, if you're connecting all of our points, you have that line there. We have that line there. We have that line there. We have this one. And you have this one. Move this. And there's our pentagon. We have 1 side, 2 side, 3 side, 4, and 5. So if you were to take this one off, Take this paper off. As you can see now, we have our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-sided polygon, which is a pentagon. And as you can see, I'm going to take off these tape to put this drawing side by side. As you can see, we use the same method. We draw a circle with a given radius or a diameter, and we just divide it in half. We draw our straight line. As you can see, we drew our straight line. We then divided that line into the number of parts that we need to construct the polygon. In this case, we divided it into 5 equal parts. They give us a 5-sided polygon, or if we divide this one into 4 equal parts to give us a 4-sided polygon. Once we've done these divisions with our support line, we're going to draw another support line connecting the last point first to the end of the line, and then we're going to take our set square, 36 or your 45, and you're just going to slide with your other support ruler under it until you have all of your parallel lines for both of them. And it will divide this line as well into the number of equal parts. Once we've done that, you're going to just draw a bisector, which is done by placing your compass point at A, open it to B, scribing your arc on both sides B, open it to A, scribe your arc to intersect, and then you're going to pass this line to your second point. This is what we want to find out, our second point, and if we find this, we could then mark it off on the circles to get the other points. Same thing here. This line, we call a bisector, passes through our second point, cuts the circle, and then this is our side distance. We open it to here, there, there, and there. So this is the universal method of constructing a polygon when a diameter or a radius is given. You can try and constructing more sided polygon, perhaps a 6-sided polygon, which is called a hexagon, or even a 10-sided polygon, which is a decagon. Go ahead and try and then see the results.